I'm here to talk about Hazel Coppice, okay? This was cut last winter. Look at it, look at the growth. It's a riot. It's full of wild flowers now. This wood's going to be cut again in another 6 years, because basically we use roughly a 7-year rotation. I'm in a part of Hampshire that's got a rich history of coppicing. It goes back centuries, and this area has always produced good hazel, and we've always moved wood around. Basically, as soon as we invented the wheel, we've moved wood around, because wood doesn't always grow to the same specifications in different parts of the country. This is what I'm interested in. This part of Hampshire, where I was born and grew up, has always produced brilliant hazel. So we've got a woodcutter who makes hazel hurdles. He comes down here from Suffolk. There's another bloke from Derbyshire who makes hurdles. He comes down here. He wandered around the wood. My kids were laughing at him because he was giggling with delight and taking photographs of the hazel, because he'd never seen such beautifully kept woodlands and such pristine quality hazel. So that's what we're dealing with, and that's why my passion is to keep this alive, to keep this going. I'm 49, I'm one of the youngest, I am the youngest person working these woods on this estate, and probably one of the youngest on the neighbouring estates as well, because there are loads of estates around here. They've all got hundreds of acres of Hazel Coppice, and most of it is still kept in rotation, and it's used to make thatching spars. Every thatched roof has got thousands of spars on it. They're like the little crisscross patterns of split hazel that are on the ridge, and also they're twisted to hold the thatch in place on the roof. Some friends of mine, a husband and wife team, they make 2,000 spars a day. Okay, that is what coppicing is about. It's about churning out usable products. Okay, that's the only way it makes money, and it's great that people are making films and writing books and basically dining off the back of this industry, but it's not actually helping this industry because there's no one new coming into it. Like I say, I'm one of the youngest at 49. There are generations of people that have worked here, and the current generation that should be working here, they can't be bothered, they're not interested. It's too much hard work, and that's what doesn't come across in all these films and books and lovely twee Instagram photos of spoon carving and whittling. It's basically, most of the work is done in the winter. It's very hard, manual, muddy work, as Oliver Rackham, the professor of botany, says in his books. It's just manual labour. Okay, it's skilled manual labour, but it's in the worst time of year, in the worst conditions, and it's just hard work, and not many people want to do it. You can just about make a living. I rent a cottage on the estate. Most of the people I know live in council houses that do this sort of work. That's the way it is. I charge more than most people for my work, but living in the south of England, it doesn't allow you to get on the housing market. It just allows you to make a living, and that's what I love about it. But what angers me is when people say I'm jealous of someone like Robert Penn, who's writing these books and making films. I'm not jealous. I'm angry that he's portraying a rose-tinted, ridiculous spectacle of what is basically hard work, and he's just creating a whole load of mythology about woodlands, which is complete nonsense, and then it makes people think on Twitter and Facebook and whatever else that, oh, isn't it lovely, I'll go and whittle a spoon today. Well, it's not about that. As a wise old hurdle maker said, if you're making spoons, how many acres of wood are you cutting a year? This lot will all go out of rotation if I just sat and whittled spoons out of it. You have to cut 1 acre at a time. You have to fell it all, stack it in drifts, you have to process it all with a billock by hand. You can cut it with a chainsaw, or maybe 2 of you cut it because it's easier, but it all has to be processed, trimmed out, bundled up, taken away and used. There's a timber lorry coming in here to collect faggots regularly, and all the neighbouring estates. No sniggering at the back. Faggots are bundles of brash that are built into riverbanks. I've just supplied load for the Beverley Brook, which is, I guess, a tributary of the Thames in Richmond Park in Surrey. That's a project that's overseen by David Attenborough. David Attenborough has actually been to this estate years ago to look at all the butterflies here. We've got species of butterfly here that only occur on this estate and the other one in the whole of the UK, because of the rich history and the continued unbroken history of coppicing, cutting on 7-year cycles. And it's great that people want to restore woodlands, and I've dabbled in that myself, but what's the point when we're not keeping the woodlands we've already got in rotation? We need more people coming in doing this work. Thatchers are importing hazel spars from Poland because our spar makers can't keep up with the demand. We've got these really ugly, thin, roundwood woven panels that are not hurdles, but they're sold as hurdles. They're coming in from Poland as well. They're flimsy, they're rubbish, they're not made of cleft wood. They won't last. They've got no turns on the end. Some of them are even nailed together. I've seen some made of sawn hazel. It's just not going to last. And what happens is people buy those, put them up in their garden for 2 years, they blow down, they break, and they say, oh, hurdles are rubbish, I'll go and get a, I don't know, tannelised larch fence panel or plastic fence or something. So it's not doing us any favours. What we really need to do is get people to come here and work in the woods and churn stuff out. We need hurdle makers, we need spar makers. I'm a hedge layer. There's only 2 full-time serious hedge layers in the whole of Hampshire. My mate Simon and I, we laugh about it. Towards the end of the season we're phoning each other up saying, oh, can you do this job because I can't fit it in, I've got too much. And he says to me, no, I was going to ask you if you can do a job that I've just turned down. And then there's a few idiots that are cashing in on that and they're doing really rough work. And people don't know a good job from a bad job, so they think, oh yeah, it's a laid hedge. It's not, it's a mess. But it will grow back. It's hard to kill a hedge, but that's not the point. The point is to do things right and properly, like the way you've been taught by people that came before you and like the people that taught them. When I first started cutting on this estate about 6 years ago, a bloke in his 90s used to come up here and talk to me. He was making hurdles until he was 90. He was a conscientious objector. He was part of a religious sect that would not fight in the war, so he stayed here and made hurdles. During the First World War, it was the peak of hurdle making. There was loads of hurdles transported to hold up the trenches. There's a train station nearby. People used to take hurdles by donkey and cart to that train station to go up to Covent Garden and get distributed around the whole of the country. There's wood that came from here that went up to Staffordshire to build pottery crates, to transport pottery all around the British Empire. You know, there's such history here, and it's all being glossed over and forgotten about by people that want to cash in on it and jump on the bandwagon and write a book about ash trees because they might be dying out. So that's why I'm complaining, and I'm not jealous. Why would I be jealous? Look where I work, just look at it. Peregrine falcon flew over here the other day. I see woodcock in here. There's a goshawk on the other side of the road. How rare are they? I've seen marsh harriers on passage. I've seen hen harriers on passage. This place is just full of wildlife. There's orchids. There's wood over there, ancient woodland on the other side. It's full of orchids at the moment. It's full of them. And like I say, butterflies that only exist there. There's loads of wildlife here. There's barn owls over these woods. There's tawny owls regularly. It's all here. So I'm not jealous of someone who's making a living writing books about working, and they made a film about some barren hillside in Wales where they're getting a stick of timber out and getting £200 for it. Of course it costs many times that to transport it down the mountainside, take it to the sawmill, process it and then kiln dry it and then make it into furniture. But Rob Penn glosses over that bit. It's just, oh look, I've made £200 out of this bit of wood with my brand new chainsaw.